Hey, what's going on out there? Falcons World, Falcons Nation, man. What's going on? Welcome to the 95 North Sports Machine on this Easter Sunday. Happy Easter to everybody. Hope everybody's enjoying their Sunday with their loved ones, man. I know this is barbershop talk, and all the barbershops across the world are closed, but like I've said last week, not this barbershop. Open for business on Sunday as usual, and walk-ins are welcome. And we have a very
Okay, so
special
welcome,
guest.
welcome. I need my hairline shaped up.
I think you're straight, bro. You passed the test of the hairline situation.
I'm gonna go ahead and get you that razor. You know, it's a little hot razor.
Oh, damn, man. Damn. Yeah.
You talking about the hairline test? Leave me alone over here.
Oh, man.
Hey,
Look at
yeah.
that, man.
Hey,
I'm the guest. Be nice. Be nice.
Right. Well,
Okay,
like I
I'll
said,
be nice. Okay, I'll leave it alone.
oh,
I don't
shit. You
feel so
guys are
bad.
too much, man. But with that said, man, we'd like to welcome Clint Goss to the building, man. We definitely appreciate you coming on to the show, man. So if you can, Clint, just speak to the world for a little bit, man. Let them know a little bit about yourself, how you became a Falcons fan, and what you're doing, what you're up to these days.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. Started being a Falcons fan probably roughly around '02. So definitely got at least 2 decades worth at this point. Covered the Falcons last year. Was my first year covering the team at 99.1 WDJY, and had a really good time with that, keeping that going. We're on live Mondays throughout the year. Most of my content can be found written or radio on Twitter. I should have put my handle here at the bottom, but it's NFL Draft Dome. You can find it under my name as well. Otherwise, I'm doing my NFL draft coverage at Stadium Rant and year round. So as far as my Falcons fandom, been a fan since '02, but been covering the team for a little over a year.
Man, that's wonderful, man. Wonderful. Always appreciate good content out there, just and great perspectives about the team, man. There's so much to talk about in such little time, man. We're gonna condense everything as much as we can. Definitely, knowing that today is a holiday. But shout out to everybody that's in the chat. As Smitty will go ahead and bring up some of the folks that are in the chat, and we'll salute them right as we go along.
where they at?
Miss Ed Brown is in the building. That's the wifey, man.
Give a shout out to sister,
Go ahead,
man.
brother.
She always tuned in.
Salute.
Give a shout out to Jaden Knight, man, my Twitter buddy, man. He called me
Sure.
Unc. So hey, shout out to Jaden, man. Our boy Jamal D is in the house.
Yo.
He's in
Just
the
the
building.
Swisher Sweets.
Yes, sir.
C Dub in the house.
Oh man.
Big bro John Higgins.
Lord
John,
have
I'm looking
mercy,
for that
John.
baked chicken plate today. Ed Mitchell, what's up, my dude? Timothy
What's
Davidson,
happening?
Southside Ricky.
Yes, sir.
Everybody in the house, man. Let's get this thing rolling, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hello
So, man, so hey, we're a month away from the NFL draft, and as we all know, the pairing is there. Coach Raheem Morris, Kirk Cousin. But Chris, you had a very interesting question, man, that I like to get these other minds involved in as well. And that is, who is under the most pressure to succeed? Is it Kirk Cousins or is it Coach Raheem Morris? So I will start with Clint.
I think it's Cousins. You start a certain timeline over here with Ra that I think, doesn't carry over for Fontenot as far as that too in the front leadership. I think it's Cousins, if nothing else, the checkbook. You've really gone in there. All this pressure's been put into getting the quarterback solved and kind of this setting up a window. I mean, look, you don't bring in a 36-year-old quarterback to say, well, we're playing for the 5-6 plus year plan. No, you've opened a window. I think it's Cousins, no doubt, because I think there's already an established floor for Ra. He can't go any lower than 7-10. We've shown that as a team. That floor is established. There's no floor established for Cousins coming in here. I mean, what you're going to say Ritter was his floor? That's not really fair. That's not comparable. And as far as the ceiling, it's. I think there's a lot more risk here versus a Ra. That was a little more of as far as the head coaching market and how you played it. I don't want to say safer play, but that wasn't the bold, risky move going and hiring Raheem Morris to come be the Falcons head coach. Going and signing Cousins was being bold. So I think more lights are there for me.
Right.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
definitely feel that because of his playoff record as well. People are going to talk about that. Like you just said, the price tag, people are concerned about the money, even though it's really only like a 2-year deal when you really break it down. But him coming in off the injury, it's a lot that goes to Cousins that's coming in right now, So I definitely understand that. Coach Rob, people talk about his, winning percentage as a coach and past experience. But Berto, you touched on something earlier before we came live, and I'm gonna let you get to that as well. But I'm going with Kirk Cousins as well too, man. He has to, like he said back in like 2011, 2012, he has to prove people wrong, and he still has to prove people wrong or prove people right, however you want to take it. But he still has to do it. So I'm gonna roll with Kirk Cousins as well.
Yeah, I'm in agreement to that as well, man. I think Kirk Cousins faces the most pressure to just obviously add on to this squad with his skill set. He walks into a situation similar to what he had in Minnesota. Established players at the skill set positions. You talk Bijan, you talk Kyle, you talk Drake London. Kind of the same situation Kurt had in Minnesota with that three-headed monster over there at one point. Hawkinson, Dalvin Cook, and Justin Jefferson. So the pressure's definitely on him. Even with the Achilles injury and what he's coming off of, to definitely continue the ascension that he had in Minnesota. So pressure's definitely on him. I think for Coach Raheem Morris, I think we're all going to be in line to viewing the best version of Coach Raheem Morris that we haven't been accustomed to seeing. He's been a coach through rankings. It hasn't been all that successful. But when you go out, when you're out of that coaching limelight for a while and you're able to win Super Bowls and surround yourself with coaching staffs that are, just brilliant. You talk about Sean McVay, even Zach Robinson himself with the Rams. So working with those guys, I can already notice it in Coach Ra's energy that he's appreciative of this second opportunity to be a head coach again. So with all that said, I think the best version of Coach Ra is to come, and I'm just happy that us as Falcon fans are probably going to be in witness to that. Smitty, I know you popped out for a little bit. If you want to just give your thoughts real quick on that question, and then we'll roll on to our next segment.
Well, y'all know I like to throw curveballs, and I'm gonna just say, I think Terry Fontenot is under the most pressure. And the reason why I say that is he's been here 3 years. He's had a chance to get the players that he wanted. Last 3 drafts have been big offensive stars. So now he had to make it all come together as one. He's doing that with Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins has pressure as well because he has the $180 million contract. But at the end of the day, Terry Fontenot is putting his team together along with Raheem Morris. So I think Terry is the most under pressure to win right now. And this is a win now team. If you have a win now roster, you're expected to win. You're expected to produce. So the general manager will get all the pressure in the world at the end of the day.
And then for Coach Raheem, he's inheriting a good team too. Like I feel like overall, if top to bottom, if you look at the Rams roster last year and our roster last year, I think you go with our roster over his. So he's coming into better talent, I believe so as well. So it may be pressure to produce because we just had Arthur Smith and he couldn't utilize the talent correctly. So he does have to utilize the talent correctly as well. So, but still, Kirk Cousins, it's just so much pressure on him. People really don't believe in Kirk Cousins, even though they're riding for him because he's the quarterback. They still don't believe in him, despite what the numbers say.
I think 2 good points that have been said thus far is, you kind of mentioned Ra and his previous head coaching experience. That Bucs regime can be thrown in the trash.
Yeah.
I don't put any stock into that. And I like the point you were talking about, all the tools being there. You can kind of apply that to both, but you just talk about Cousins. It's particularly once you go add another receiving weapon in this draft, offensively, because we don't really need to discuss the defense with him as much. It's
right.
What's missing for him? That offensive line unit's going to be as good as he's ever had. That running game's going to be the best he's ever had with respect to Dalvin Cook, with it being a 2-headed monster here. Zach Robinson being the perfect fit schematically for him. I know KFC was as well, but all that just to say, and you talk about the kind of past experience and having something to prove between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think the past playoff record and the prime time record is a little more damning on Cousins right now than, say, Ra's Bucks regime, because just like I just said, you can kind of toss that and more focus on the Super Bowl run with the Rams and being the coordinator of that defense versus that. You can't really do that as much with Cousins. It's like, no, you had some good weapons at Minnesota and some good opportunities, and it's I think there's more heat on him in terms of your resume coming in here and needing it to look a little different.
And you got to think too, Raheem Morris, he was in his early 30s when he got his first coaching job. It's tough for anybody that age. So I think you get a pass for that, that type of big thing. Like you said, throw that in the trash. You talk about a guy in his early 30s. Sean McVay succeeded, but look how long it took him to get there. So now Raheem Morris had a chance to do that too.
Yeah, man. Raheem even said it himself. He was pretty much an arrogant guy. He was a young coach. Come on now, getting that big of a title at that young of an age. I believe he's a lot more humble now, and I believe, like Berto said, man, I believe we're going to get the best version of Coach Ra with this roster talent and everything that he has inherited. And for Kirk Cousins, for him, we have a good offense and we're going to add to it. I definitely believe that the Falcons are going to still get a wide receiver somewhere in this draft to add to that offense as well. Yeah, man, to add to that offense as well, because we got so many guys on one-year deals. The only one that's really lengthy is outside of the rookie contract for Drake is Donnell Mooney.
Right?
Yeah. So. Very valid, man. Appreciate you guys' opinion on that, man. We're going to move on to our next segment. Before we click on to mock draft time, but we're going to touch on real quick this Hassan Reddick situation going to the New York Jets. New York Jets, man, no stranger of acquiring, top tier athletes, and the compensation was ridiculous, man. I think it was a future third or something to that degree. Chris or Smith, if you have the details on that, please go ahead and shout that out. But one thing that is consistent with this, the Falcons missed out on another edge rusher. We're 0 for 3 in the department, and as we were all talking backstage, you talk about the Montez sweepstake. We fell short on that. Although Danielle Hunter, we were in the talks to acquire him, couldn't finish the deal, and now missing out on Hassan Reddick to a squad that really needs it. Let's be honest, man. I know that collectively last year, we finished with 42 sacks under a different scheme with Ryan Nielsen. Now we kind of backtrack a bit, go back into this 3-4 base, a la the days of Dean Pease, but you insert Jimmy Lake and Coach Raheem Morris to go ahead and guide that group. As we noted, Coach Raheem, being a defensive coordinator with the Rams last year, was able to get sack numbers out of rookies. Chris and Smitty and even Clint, I spoke on this various of times before free agency started. Sometimes it's quality over quantity or quantity over quality.
Right.
Yes.
And adding one premier edge rusher, really won't make a world of a difference. As we all know, this is a copycat league. Indianapolis just showed us that they can do the same thing without a clear-cut number one edge rusher to a tune of 50 plus sacks in a year. So can and will this Falcons draft this month coming up really shape the defense for the years to come? Raheem Morris did an incredible job with Kobe Turner and Bryant Young last year, 17 sacks combined between both gentlemen, and they were rookies. So, and it's something that we're, as fans of football that we all are on here, it's weird not to hear Aaron Donald leading a Rams team in sacks. So, are we going into that? Possibly, but Hassan Reddick to the Jets just makes the Jets probably a favorite in the AFC East. But I'd like to get you guys' take on that real quick, starting with Clint, please.
There's a couple angles to go there. I think quick, looking at it from the Jets' perspective, man, how much of a black eye does that make that Will McDonald first-round pick look?
Oh, my God.
That's a black eye moment. You've established through his production, his play, Salah's trust in him as a guy who likes to overindulge in edge depth. you've pretty much established you view him as a rotational at this point. That was a black eye moment that they chose to do. Getting Reddick for a conditional 2026 third felt like a ham sandwich, and gets frustrated. And I get it. I jumping over would be the last thing I said. We kind of had a little bit of that discussion last segment about everything Rod did with that under-talented Rams secondary last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've mentioned what he did in terms of sack production last year with a Kobe Turner, a Byron Young.
Mm-hmm.
Those were third, fourth round guys.
Yep.
Rookies. So just to say what you can imagine with him doing with a Zach Harrison, what you can imagine, and not getting too much into the kind of the mock we're going to look at, but spoiler alert, there's going to be an edge involved in the first round discussion.
Facts.
I mean, giving him a top 10 level talent like a Latu or a Verse or a Turner versus third, fourth rounders, it's such an established floor in terms of what he can get out of his guys. It's exciting. I think that it's a good point. Everybody likes to really talk about what he got out of the secondary and the defensive line. I like to mention both. It's really impressive, and it's really tying it back to the question of, can he build out this defense more and more with this draft? What did I just say? Those were third and fourth round picks. You got two thirds. You're coming here in the fourth. This is more of a top-heavy draft. The 6th, 7th rounds will be more kind of UDFA-style players. It's like you're not there. You've already used some of that. It's a third, fourth round, those couple picks you've got, and, when they're going to go early here in the first and second as well, it's, he's going to come swinging, and he needs to. Time to cash in.
Yeah.
It is. Facts. Wonderfully said. Wonderfully said.
Definitely agree with that, man. And that third round pick, man, it did seem like a ham sandwich. And I sat there and wondered,
2026.
We could cough up a conditional pick 2 years down the line. But as I sit back and think, you still got contract during that time. Kirk Cousins may be on the edge by the end, depending on what happens the first 2 years.
We'll see.
You probably will be looking at Jesse Bates probably looking up for a re-up. AJ Terrell being his third year.
It's a guy named AJ looking for a payday.
Again. So, I mean, just think about it, man. In 3 years, you have a guy like Bergeron who will be up for a contract. So, I mean, I get it. When you look toward the future, you got to think about your key players. And I think that's what they're thinking about right now. They spent most of the cap on Cousins, Mooney, and they still have to re-sign AJ. So, I get it. So, they have more pressing needs. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, the money factor. Also, too, guys, just something to think about. It was a couple of, before the move was made, it was a couple of teams at the top of the NFC that they could have traded with. I believe that they didn't want Hassan Reddick to stay in the NFC as well and possibly, be having a chance to disrupt their offense as well. I think that also played a part. It may be a small part, but I think it's a factor. I mean, they traded him all the way to the AFC to make sure they got rid of him. So he doesn't have to attack the offense again. And then, of course, the cap situation, the money, you got to make sure you have the money to pay the players that you already homegrown and brought in here. So it's understandable.
Very cool. Very cool, man. So I guess we're good with this. So now, ladies and gentlemen, is the moment you all been waiting for. Mock draft time. Listen, the mock draft is going to be, what we may feel if the Falcons could go in the directions. Also taken to note that, the mock draft, whoever we take is because that's who's available there. I know there's a lot of feelings tied to who should go where and stuff like that. Believe me, if we had the opportunity to take everybody that's mentioned, we would. But we're going to try and key in on necessary upgrades at certain roster spots within the Falcons roster. Definitely edge is tops of conversation. We can say cornerback is also a roster need. It's a toss-up between wide receiver and the safety position at this point. Offensive tackle definitely needs some taken care of as well. And we'll go lightly through the ranks in there. So we're gonna use PFN Mock Simulator. So I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen in just a moment here, and we will bring up this ever so important mock draft for our 2024 Atlanta Falcons, man.
That's crazy,
Okay.
man. Before this year, I've really never done the mocks and never just try to dive into it because I know those things can get addicting. And look at us.
They
now.
can. They definitely can, man. So solo mock, Atlanta Falcons. All right, gentlemen, are we going? We just keep it at normal speed. Everybody cool with that?
Yeah, that's cool.
Normal speed. Okay, Clint, you good with that?
Yeah, sorry, I had the mic on.
No,
Mute.
that's okay. That's okay. All right, so boom. All right, we're gonna enter this situation here now. Let me just pause this right quick just to talk about the first couple picks, man. So obviously we all kind of maybe all in agreement. You know, the first 3 picks are probably going to be quarterback. So as you can see already, Caleb and Drake May have come off the board. New England has been heavily rumored to take a quarterback at 3. JJ McCarthy comes to mind. Jaden Daniels it's also another player. Then we may see the run on wide receivers go in number from 4 through 6, really, with Marvin Harrison Jr. going, probably Malik Neighbors, and who else? Yeah, who knows for number 6? Weird things have happened in the draft. Roma Dunze, he's another one. But I'll ask you guys before I click on any trades that you guys want to make, to acquire more picks down the line. I know there's a very popular trade scenario going around where it involves the Minnesota Vikings trading up with the Falcons at 8 because they're also rumored to take a quarterback. So however this draft shapes, we could very well see that on draft night, where a team gets real froggy and he wants to leap up. I feel like Atlanta yet again in another year is at a prime position to run the top half or the bottom half of the draft by acquiring more picks. So
yeah.
What do you guys?
I said, yeah. I said trade down. Yeah, trade down. See what we can get.
Am I tripping? Am I supposed to be seeing the mock draft? Because I see your Google search.
Yeah, same here.
Do you really?
Clicked on it yet?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me go. I
think he did because he was talking about.
I am.
Yeah, but on our screen we just
website.
Yeah.
Right. You were looking at the website? Okay. Give me 1 second. I will do this again. My apologies. Wait 1 second. All right. We're going to share that. All right. So you see this. You see the Google, right?
Right.
Okay.
Okay. I see that you
see the mock draft.
I see that you clicked on it, but it didn't. Nah, man, it don't like you, man. How
about now?
Okay, it's there.
There you go.
That's it? Okay, cool. All right, here we go. Normal. All right. So we're in here.
Oh, yeah.
Smitty, you had mentioned you want to trade down from 8 to 11?
Yeah, let's try Minnesota.
I mean, I would. I mean, I'm definitely for the trade back.
I would. I don't know how realistic it is that it's Minnesota. I think the trade back is more somebody who's receiver 3 hungry. I think the 4 quarterbacks are gone by. Right. I think it's 1, 2, 3, and then either Arizona or the Chargers is who's going to get to cash in with Minnesota in some capacity. I don't think who that is. I think for me personally, my excitement about a potential trade back is somebody that sees a Dunze or Neighbors, probably a Dunze, sitting there. That's forecasting that the Titans take Alt. And even if it isn't, if Alt's sitting there, somebody, I think it's either Alt or receiver 3 is more the trade back than say somebody who wants QB4. But if you were in a situation where the 4th quarterback was on the board at 8 and Minnesota hasn't gone yet, Terry and Kwesi are both just playing like who's going to pick it up first because we both know who's calling. That'd be too easy.
So, Clint, pretty much what you're saying is the Falcons should go best trade available instead of the best player available.
Even if you thought that's what they should do, that's not what Terry's shown us he would do. And he's shown us through the Pitts pick,
EPA
pick, that it's going to be best player available. They considered London as well, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
No, if you're at 8 and the edge is a situation you don't want to play the trade back game, no problem with it. But I really forecast a situation where receiver 3, the Bears get antsy. The Jets are hungry to come up for one. A team as far back as the Jags are ready to go and try and add a big name like an Adunze for a T-Law, for example. I bet more of that. And I think in that situation, and this is assuming it's edge in round 1, I imagine them having a Latu and a Turner and a Burst graded close enough to say, we'll gamble a little bit and go back. And we're happy with any of the 3 of these guys. I feel pretty confident in that. So, I think, because, this would be the last thing I'd say. Take the example I just pulled out of the top of my head right there. The Jags, for example, way back at 17. One of those 3 edges is going to be there at 17.
Man, that's crazy. I had a mock draft with the Bengals.
I think that's more of where it stands a month out here.
Yeah.
To add on to what you're saying, Clint, I agree. I would trade back as far as I can and get as many picks, because even though one of those top 3 edge rushes, say like they're all off the board, you still got Darius Robinson, who I think is going to be a sleeper in this draft. He's still on the board. He's a 3-4 end. And you could possibly use him as an interior lineman or a defensive end. So I think it just makes a lot of sense to trade back as far to see who gives you the most picks. Let's just keep it real.
Okay, quick.
To your point, before we get away from it,
okay.
I said Terry's shown us what he'll do. Here's another thing Terry's shown us he'll do. He's not going to go into the draft where he's boxing himself into having to take a select position in a certain round. And what I mean by that here is, if Terry looks up in the situation, he's traded back, say our example we're using, to 17. Somehow the 3 edges are gone. Well, that means one of the top 2 corners is still there.
Yes. Thank you, Clint.
You're sitting there and you're staring at a Quinyon Mitchell. You're staring at a Terry Arnold. Boo-hoo-hoo. We picked up a first next year, a third this year. We got one of those guys. And then we're coming back in the second at 43, and we're looking at somebody in that tier behind, you use the Darius Robinson name, the Marshawn Nealons, et cetera, in the second round. He's setting himself up. No, he gets to be flexible. He's not boxed here where it's like we look up and the 3 of them are gone and we're like, well, we're screwed. No.
Mm-hmm. Hey, man, I like it. I absolutely like it, man. I had a draft scenario to where I traded with the Bengals at 18, and I ended up in crazy. Latu was still there. I took him there, and then I also was able to also still get a good corner in the second round because I had 2 second-round picks now. But that Quinyon Mitchell, I believe he's the best cornerback in the draft. I know everybody likes Arnold, and maybe even some people like Wiggins, but it's Quinyon Mitchell for me. If we could get a Quinyon Mitchell, I would not be mad if everyone else was gone and we just got Mitchell, or if you just decided that you like Mitchell that much to put him in the secondary, someplace that we need him. I'm not mad if you take Quinyon Mitchell at all.
Yeah, he's the most polished corner in the draft, I think. Go ahead, Clint.
I was just going to say a couple angles to the Quinyon Mitchell point. He's pretty evenly split in terms of man and zone experience, but you look at this Raw and this Lake defense we're bringing, going to be a lot more zone than we've seen in the last few years.
Right.
He'd be ready to roll. It's like, I think, to your point of talking about, I'd like Quinyon there, I think this is the Falcons' corner board behind us. I think Quinyon's their corner 1 over Arnold. I think he would be.
I think so too. Yeah.
I think he'd be the preference, and you're not complaining there. To bring him in and then really give yourself the ability to put Clark Phillips inside.
That's what I'm saying, bro. And the thing about Quinyon, he makes tackles too. He likes to get in there and make tackles. He has great ball skills, good feet and hips. And like you just said, plays man and zone. He's going to roll.
Well, and he's got some thump. And that's, you kind of need some of that opposite of Terrell. You mentioned some people like Wiggins. See, Wiggins, I don't see as much of the fit. He's lighter in the jeans. Lighter in the court. Need somebody
so much man to man.
A little more thump.
Yeah. And then plus the best thing about him is because he used to play receiver. I know a lot of people are kind of like hung on that, and maybe he can recognize route trees faster. But honestly, Quinyon can recognize route trees as well. You've seen it, and that guy, he has unbelievable athletic ability, and he's a strong physical corner for our beloved Jerry Gray. I would love to take Quinyon Mitchell.
Okay. All right. That hey, very solid perspective on what the Falcons should do at 8. So let's see. Let's propose the trade. So are we proposing a trade to trade down or up all the way to 7 down, excuse me, down to 17? See if we can force a trade there or
I'll say one thing about PFN in my experience. I feel like it's
yeah.
difficult to trade back. Like if you're the Falcons and you're saying you want to trade back with the Jags, it's more like you need to be the Jags trading up with the Falcons.
Yeah.
That's a good point because I suffer that same
Just saying,
fate.
don't drive yourself crazy sitting here trying to get it to do. Yeah.
True. So let's just keep it at 8. Let's just keep it here. We'll focus
Probably
on
easiest.
yeah, and then probably focus at a different part of
We
the
could
show.
sit here for
down the
10
line.
minutes playing and it won't accept.
Oh my God, it would reject everything. It's true.
Not to be captain, down or miserable or anything, but it probably would.
Well, here we go. Here's a proposed pick right here.
Oh,
all right.
But for the purposes of this mock, that's kind of lame because then we lose the perspective on the second, third, and the first next year. We're not talking about that. So I'd say for this, in like reality, would we do that? Probably. For this, it probably wouldn't be as entertaining.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. Yeah. If we had that 23rd in there, you would feel a whole lot better.
More
yeah. Oh my God, yeah. 11 and 22. I think the Minnesota Vikings have, to
they got 23.
But all 23. Yeah, man. So let's reject that. I'm not doing any business with the New England Patriots.
Hold on now. Why not? Let me see.
No, they're way up at 34. That's second round.
They're way up at 34. Yeah.
That's why I had to zoom in real quick. I was like, what does that say? Because if it was 24, I would
crazy. All right. Here's a respectful.
Do it.
Yeah, I am doing this one.
Are you serious? We get back-to-back picks in the second round. Let's roll.
Why not? Let's roll, ladies and gentlemen. They took Teron Arnold with that one. Oh man.
That's who you went with? Cool. Whatever.
I'm not doing nothing with Dallas. You sit here and
no. I like the position that we're at.
We're at 13, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, I was gonna say if you want to go edge, we got to take them now.
We got to take right here.
Turner's gone.
Latu and Turner is gone, but if everybody can give their point of view on the constant battle that we got going on, is Dallas Turner true edge number 1, or is it Lateo Latu true edge number 1? I say Latu is consensus edge number 1, man. I think you talk about a kid, sure, the medical and all of that. But look at his body of work his last 2 years for UCLA, man. 23 and a half sacks, really had a clean bill of health, and he's coming into a situation where he knows what Jimmy Lake likes from his defense, although they weren't incredibly tied to the hip because 2019, 2020 was when he was medically disqualified, and that just so happened to be Jimmy Lake's last year's there with Washington. But you like what Latu and his makeup, his pedigree, the repertoire of moves that he has versus what Dallas Turner. There's a lot of things that you can work on. He as athletic as he is as an edge, he relies too much on his speed and power, and with that, he doesn't know how to properly use it. His hand usage is not as good as you would like it to be. Some people will say those things are coachable, but you've had all this time to coach that up while his time in Alabama, and he's still showing the same downfalls in that aspect. And to me, Dallas Turner is really a 1 or 2 maneuver type guy. He doesn't really set up the tackles as great as Latu does. Latu has broken down some of his own film, and I've seen some of his own film where he's consistently in a game setting up the offensive tackle, and Latu is just baiting him to play his game and just become and outright be the successor at the end of the game. For those tapes. There's one bad tape on Latu, and that was against Talise Fongu out of Oregon State, who's still on the board at 14. He's a dog, absolutely.
I'm about to say, he's a dog too. That was just mano y mano right there in that game, and it's just
that was great. And a lot of people like to highlight the Georgia game for Dallas, where he kind of beat up on Armis Mims, the offensive tackle there. But as it stands, I think consensus edge number one is Latu, but I like to hear what you guys have to say, starting with Clint.
Am I losing my mind or somebody playing the techno?
Man, what you talking about? I'm saying
I know, right? I hear that in the background too. I don't know what that is.
It says the voices in my head talking to me this early on Easter or something.
I hope not, man.
You said you wanted me to get going. I can start talking about it.
Yeah.
Y'all just said the Fuanga and Manu with Latu. It's like, yeah, Fuanga will probably be the next pick in New Orleans right there.
Probably.
But I've really battled with this edge one thing, man. In terms of Atlanta and in terms of just general. In terms of Atlanta, I feel confident that Verse is number 3 on their board. I think Verse would be a great pick here. Like in terms of this mock we're doing, I'm going to speak that I think it should be Verse most likely.
I agree with that.
And I think it'd be great, but I feel comfortable that he will be 3rd on their board, more of a 4-3 style edge versus the other two.
You're right.
You'd have Turner in that kind of outside linebacker, pass rushing role. Latu's got more of the size. I think Latu's their guy.
Yeah, man.
I do too.
Everybody and his brother is mocking Turner, and I get it. And I could very well be wrong. I think Latu's who they want. I think if they looked up, unlike us in this mock, if they looked up and it was like, we're not trading back, we traded back as much as we can, they're all here, we're taking our pick of the litter, I'd bet my cash on Latu. I think he's the best fit, and I think he fits the window the best because whoever it was, I can't remember which of the three of you, was essentially saying Latu's got much more of a bag, much more technically refined versus a Turner, even coming out of Alabama. Really got more like he moves, really relies more on the power, the overbearing athleticism. Somebody that if you look at this little 2-3 year Cousins window you created, I think you're more ready to get more mileage out of Latu now. And this would be the last thing I'd say. Don't sit here and look at me and say you're scared about Latu's neck when you just handed the bag to a 36-year-old Cousins.
Hello.
Yeah.
This isn't the time to
Great
say
point.
like, I'm nervous about medicals. It's like, nah, buddy, you're out here. You stepped out here. You're out here. You in the octagon now. You got to fight. It's like we're here. Like, I don't see him being scared. I really don't. I think the medicals are checked out like everybody wants. I think the media is hyping this more than the league is.
Yeah.
I think Latu would be their guy if they got to pick the preference.
No, yes, sir. Hey, man, another
Edge
thing
is definitely the need, correct? So if you guys are okay, I will go ahead and take Jared Verse. But Chris, I'm sorry, you
No, I was
say
just
something?
gonna say another thing about Latu, man. I like a guy who can come back from something that he was going through, man. You got the comeback stories, the feel good stories. This guy had to work his butt off to get to where he is right now after having to be medically retired a few times. Like it was more than once he had to be medically retired. So he had to work his butt off to get to this point. Give me a guy who's a hard worker, who will play through things, who will do the best that he can to stay on the field because he realizes more than the other two guys right now that football is not forever. It can be gone at the snap of a finger. So he's going to give everything that he has for you, night in, night out, play in, play out. I really believe that about Latu.
All right. So we're going Jared Verse here?
Oh, yeah. We're going Verse now.
Clint, you called it, man. Fuaga goes to the Saints on that one.
It makes sense, though. I do understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
y'all
long
went
as
there?
you point Trevor Penning to the bench and tell him to grab him a Gatorade day one.
Hey,
Oh man, I like that. I caught hell for taking Michael Penix in round 2. Smitty, Chris, you guys were there for that.
yeah. I remember they were saying you messed up the draft or something like that.
Yep. Look, man, I'm gonna go ahead and reject that. So we got back-to-back picks. Now we can really do some things here with these back-to-back picks. Definitely.
Well, you know where I'm rolling. Before we even start, you know where I'm rolling.
Tavondre Sweat, a true nose tackle in a 3-4 alignment here is a very intriguing name that Jimmy Lake and Coach Raheem Morris can add. Let's see what we have left for edge. Brandon Dorless is my draft crush.
Mm.
He is one of my favorites here, man. Guy that can play 3 or 5 technique,
I
move
like
up and down the
Thielen.
board. Gives me that Kobe Turner vibe.
Nealon's my favorite player in the whole draft.
Really? I like
Marshawn
Nealon,
Nealon.
though. He's got
like
an
him. My
NFL
guy,
prototype right now, man. And that guy, he can fit in any defensive scheme. I feel like, man, that guy's
he can.
underrated.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what we have left for cornerbacks. Ennis Rakestraw is still here. Ennis Rakestraw is
Lassiter.
at that position.
I think Lassiter going to be one of the top corners in the league next year.
See, it's funny y'all are saying that. I think Melton's the best schematic fit.
Yeah,
I think so too. Yep.
I think in terms of that zone defense, Melton coming in here playing boundary as a corner too. I think I'm not convinced Melton's not a guy that consensus media we're putting right there around the 60s or so. I wouldn't be stunned if he's 10 picks higher in terms of reality, in terms of the league. That's a board riser. That's somebody that it's hard to gauge where he really is versus, say, you can pretty comfortably say where Ennis Rakestraw is going. I think Melton's kind of the wild card in that scenario. I mean, it's definitely one of those three if you're going corner. But I wouldn't just toss him to the side and say, oh, it's Lassiter or Rakestraw. I think they'd be talking about Melton in that scenario too. And wouldn't go wrong either of the three. They're all great players.
I'm glad you touched on where they put him in the draft, because there's so many mock drafts to where I see Milton in the 3rd, and just one time I actually seen him in the 4th on a random. So it was just yeah, exactly. I'm with you on
he's
that.
Not making it to day 3. That's not happening.
Not at all. I don't think so at all.
On day 3, no way, no how.
Not at all. That kid's good, and the thing about it is you're not going to have to do too much to get. Oh Lord, he gonna get to the quarterbacks and pause.
Pause.
Berto's a trip.
Clint, you made a fascinating point. Why not grab a Gatorade, sit on the bench with a guy of this, of his talent? Yeah, the knees are buckling. But he ran a 4.6, has had a pretty decent a clean bill of health the past year or two for Washington. He does fit where the Falcons are going in, and it's more of a spread offense, passing the ball around, making plays with the arm, also with the legs. And Michael Penix exemplified that in Washington to a tune of back-to-back 4,000-yard throwing seasons. Plus 30 touchdown passes in both of the years. So you get a kid like this that you can mold and have him sit under Kirk Cousins and really understand the game and what it takes to prep and have this, quarterback heavy coaching staff that Atlanta has assembled and really, dig their feet in the sand and just get this kid right. Michael Penix would be an absolute home run for the Falcons in round number 2. Sure, everybody's going to frown and say, oh, we don't need quarterback. Kirk Cousins is not the quarterback of the future, folks, man. He's just a short-term deal.
Neither is Taylor Heineke.
Neither is Taylor Heineke. So
next year's quarterback class is trash.
Yep.
Boy.
Yeah. So, Clint, what do you feel about the Falcons going Michael Penix in round 2 if he's there? Because the pro day really showed a lot of teams that this kid's ready to roll. He showed the speed, he showed the arm strength, he showed that he can make pretty much every throw in the route tree that there is. So, what do you feel about Clinton about Michael Penix to the Falcons in the 2nd round?
Everybody don't throw the tomatoes at me, but I do feel passionately about this one. I don't think it's realistic. I don't think Penix fits the Falcons' needs anymore, and I would not be pleased. I think Penix is a great quarterback. He's QB5 for me. It'd be a good value, but what did I say earlier in this episode? You've opened a window. Don't play scared. I said that about lots of you. You're not playing scared. It's like you're not playing for 5 years from now. We're playing for this 2-3 year window. You've gone hard on Cousins. It's kind of like the old quote about what was the Peyton Manning. They said about Peyton gets all the quarterback 1 reps, and they say, yeah, we don't practice when we're effed. 18 goes down, we're effed. It's kind of like if Cousins goes down, we're in trouble. I think you've opened this win now opportunity where let's just super quick, a couple of the guys we mentioned, just looking at that board.
Yep.
I don't know how you say no to a Max Melton right now. I don't know how you say no to a Tavondre Sweat right now. I don't know how you say no to a Marshawn Nealon right now. I don't know how you say no to a Bradford. I don't know how you say no to some of those receivers available. I don't know how you say no to some of the swing tackles available. It's just I don't think you want to get a quarterback with some high upside you can develop. Let's talk in the third round with the Spencer Rattlers of the world. I just don't think you've got to cash in top 50 picks right now on people that can start day one next year right now. I don't think you can say no to Sweat and some of those other guys.
So Sweat at 43.
I don't think it's going to
get a corner.
I don't see
it. I think Sweat at 43 and then corner at 44.
Possibly. What's this? Oh no. 49.
Man, I'm going right through there. Man, I'm going right through this. If not, we're gonna be here for 10 hours trying to
I know, right?
trying to get all of these. But okay, so we landed Tavondre Sweat, a position of need in which a lot of people say, oh, we got graded, we got David Onyemata. Yeah, but you know what? The depth behind them, it doesn't really look that solid. And we don't know how Jimmy Lake and Coach Ra are going to use these guys schematically, right? What we do need is a true nose in this base 3-4 alignment, and nobody's better at this right now than Tavondre Sweat. So
Grady and Onyemata are great players, but they don't have that wide backside like Sweat, man. They're big boys, but they're not a wide load like that.
He's taking two people every time at least.
And I'll say this, and Tavondre Sweat coming to the Falcons, the two people that stand as beneficiaries in that pick is Nate Landman and Caden Ellis, because now these guys can roam free with a space eater in front of them and opening up lanes for these guys to have free rushes, free blitzes, and just really hone in on stopping the run that much more.
And so, Troy Anderson can play down more.
Absolutely. Troy Anderson from day one, and Smitty, I mean, you've been there on my rants about Troy Anderson. Use him as an edge in some way, shape, or form as a Swiss Army
speed. He has it. Yeah.
He has the intangibles for there. So Tavondre Sweat pick at 43, 44. Hey, listen, man, Lassiter and Rakeshaw are still there. So Max Milton also there. And like Clint was saying, Max Milton fits the mold a little bit better than Rakeshaw possibly in this scheme. So if you guys are good with it, we'll go Max Milton at 44.
And hey, I think a last note before we did this, we talked kind of about the pairing with Terrell. Look at those. I don't feel super passionately about any of the three. If y'all said we wanted to take any of the three, I'd say cool.
Yep.
Melton, you're talking about like 4.4, sub 4.4 speed. Rakeshaw, you're talking like early 4.5 speed. Lassiter, you're talking like early to mid 4.5 speed. It's just in terms of a little more of the burner, this zone fit. If I was to say what I think the Falcons would do, I think Melton would be their guy.
Yeah,
Melton would be their guy.
All right, feet.
Okay,
cover a little bit more. A little faster.
We'll go Max Milton. Bang.
Hey, that's not a bad pick though, man.
That's three starters. That's three starters on defense, even if you consider Sweat as a 2-down player rotationally, because he's not going to be out there 80+% of the snaps. He'd be dead on the floor. I mean that's three major. What we talk about, the win now thing. That's day one dudes.
Yeah. Yep. Actual fact.
Far, man. So Jared first, Tavondre Sweat, Max Milton, all defensive guys. On an eve of free agency where
you got to reward Jimmy Lee.
Got to reward him.
Got to reward Jimmy.
All right, so we're back up again from what it looks like. And at 74, what are we thinking here, gentlemen? Let's see what we have left for edge.
You're going Nealon.
You're going Nealon on that. Let's look offensive. Let's see what. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, do you guys feel like the Falcons should add a wide receiver in the early rounds, or is this something that we can wait?
They'll probably wait till day 3. They'll probably wait day 3.
There's a couple names on there now.
You got it.
I mean, that you can still wait on.
You got to take Nealon. I love Roman Wilson. I love Pearsall. I'm really high on them, but
Yeah, they got to get 2 solid edge rushers in
I'd
that
play
draft.
the depth.
As soon as I seen Nealon still there,
class, man. I mean, you're not going to mess that up either way. Those are all great picks at 74.
Yeah.
But if I'm in that room, what did I say? I said earlier that he's my favorite player in the draft. If I was in the Falcons draft room, I'd be pounding the table, standing on it while screaming, telling everyone we got to take this guy. So that's what I'll do here.
So Marshawn Nealon. So for me, there's also some other intriguing guys. Austin Booker. He's burst onto the scene really last year for Kansas. He's still a work in process, but what he has shown you is some explosiveness and a good arsenal of moves. To me, Jalix Hunt and Javon Salmon, man, these are two very uber intriguing prospects for me. Jalix Hunt from Houston Christian was a converted safety, turned edge, turned linebacker, you name it. Wherever he went, he was successful. Allowed only 42% of passes completed when he was targeted. Screams a lot, what Foye Oluokun was for Connecticut when he was drafted. And look what Foye is at now. Another contract with Jacksonville, very deservingly so. Was with the Falcons and balled out. He fits a lot of what, a lot of that right there. And he's now an edge. I think he can, scream off the edge as well. I think he can make some plays. Javon Salmon is another one, and Troy has been, one of those teams that has trotted out some good edge rushers in the past. The only knock on him is his size. He's, I think, 6'1", but in a world that has seen success at the edge with guys like Elvis Dumerville, Javon Salmon fits the bill, man. Incredibly athletic, and has the sack numbers at Troy to definitely have to make him worth a draft pick here. But Marshawn Nealon definitely, the top tier right here at 74. So we'll definitely go
real quick before you click it. I would just lastly say we're picking again at 79. Right here, you're playing the game of who do I think won't make it 5 more picks.
Yeah.
Who do I think will not make it 5 more?
Mm-hmm.
That's the conversation you really got to have.
Valid. Yeah. And I think Nealon is the guy right there to have that. Chicago, we don't know what the Jets will do, but, Oakland and Washington. And what a lot of people don't realize is Washington's defense is depleted. You got no more Montez Sweat. Chase Young is gone. You lost to Ron Payne a few years back. Jonathan Allen is rumored to be traded. So it's like you got to start rebuilding that that defensive line. Excuse me. So
everybody that comes after us can take Nealon.
And not enough are gonna. Oh, okay. I said that there in the next 2 picks. All right, I'm gonna go jump out the window.
Oh man. So we're back at it again. So let's review the picks that we've had thus far. Jared Verse, T'Vondre Sweat, Max Milton, and Marshawn Nealon. 2 edge. Falcons double dipped in the edge department to pair along with D'Angelo Malone and Arnold Ebiketie. So I think we're good defensively. Now I think we can start
receiver.
Start building the safety spot, the offensive tackle position could also have some can have some upgrades. Caleb Agary, we can definitely start moving on from him after next year, and why not draft his replacement. Jake Matthews, the bloodline strong, but he's not going to last forever. 33 years of age, 10 plus years in the NFL, and Iron Man for the Falcons. He's going to probably start showing signs of decline or slowing down at some point. So I would really like to focus on offensive tackle here. Dwayne Ledford, our offensive tackle coach, man, has done a phenomenal job with rookie last year, Matthew Bergeron, and guard Chris Lindstrom. He's done some things with Drew Dahlman, so that's another position too. But what do you guys feel about the offensive tackle position at 79?
I would probably go with Double R. I know he has. I don't know a whole lot about him. Not gonna lie about that, but I have seen his name and heard his name in good spaces. So in in this round, this is what it's day 3. So yeah, in this round, I wouldn't mind, but you also still got to look at who's left. You know, it's in the round and start thinking about, will any of those players be there in round 4? Like, who's going to be there in round 4? You know, because it's going to be a minute before we draft again after 79.
Very,
So
we
you
could go the 2016 route and definitely start shaping the future, if you want to say that. Javon Bullard is still on the board out of Georgia. Currently we have Jesse Bates and Richie Grant, and DeMarco Hellams from last year, but Richie Grant's probably the lesser out of the two, and Javon Bullard is still here as well. Clint, what do you feel we should go? Where should we go?
Oh,
and
Cole Bishop is
direction,
there
brother?
still too.
Cole Bishop is still there too. But I like to get Clint's thoughts right quick on the direction the Falcons.
Yeah, that's a tough. I say tough. It's tough in the fact that you've got so many good options. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it
but
is.
Very good.
That's tough in the fact that love the tackle idea, particularly from a swing perspective. And it'd be a fun situation. You know, I remember the first 3 names on that tackle board were Rosengarten out of Washington. It was Agandeji out of Yale, and it was Fisher out of Notre Dame. So you wouldn't take Fisher. You'd go for the upside play because you got time for development. Fisher's more the floor guy, those 3.
Yep.
The Yale kid's probably the highest upside. Washington kid, Rosengarten's probably the safer play. You wouldn't go wrong with either of those 2, but it would be one of those 2. You'd aim for the ceiling. I like those 2 options. And you mentioned the 2 safeties, Cole Bishop and Bullard. If we're talking about the 4 defenders we've already cashed in on, and we're looking at cashing a 5th in on one of those cats, buddy,
sign me up,
buddy. Bullard playing a lot of that nickel role and being able to trot back at safety, he'd be a dog. Bishop's a name. I've said this about a guy or 2 thus far, so not to be repetitive, but this one, Bishop's a name that us in the media and draft analysts, etc., are too low compared to the NFL. Bishop's going to go higher than people think right now. I think that's a guy that the league's going to be higher on. To your point of, you said a second ago, Chris, when he came on, you said, "Oh, Bishop's still on there." It's like,
man, because I'm like, what is he still doing there?
Real draft right now, people would be looking at each other in rooms, going, "Bishop's still here." It's like
you would have Chris's reaction.
I'm trying to tell you,
Bullard and Bishop would be a tough decision, but choosing between those 2 tackles would be a tough decision. We've talked about receiver, but I agree with you, man. I'm not convinced you don't have to see if you can wait till 109, because those are 4 great names to choose from. The receivers, I remember off the top of my head, you had pulled up. It was McMillan, Tez Walker, some of those names. I just don't think you're improving yourself this year, next year, year 3, as much with that move and beyond as with either a swing tackle developmentally or one of those safeties. I'm kind of like y'all. It might sound unconventional in what we expect to say. We still haven't taken a receiver yet. Look, Kyle Pitts is essentially a receiver. They've got big receiver 2 expectations for Mooney. Rondale Moore coming in that 3rd hole. A guy that you bring in at the 109 to supplement that, they're fine. I think it'd be one of these tackles or
one of those safeties, man.
One of those. Thank you. I was blanking for a second. You saved me.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So I wouldn't mind going Javon Bullard here and really solidifying the defense. We've put so much onus and attention onto the offensive side that, we have to remember where this Falcons defense was last year, ranked 11th, albeit it was under a different regime at the time and a different play caller. And a lot of the players have returned. 2 minuses are Bud Dupree and Calais Campbell. So that's 13 sacks that just are floating out there. So the more solid, the more the more solid players that you add on to this secondary, make it easier for the guys up front to do their work and work their magic, and have Jimmy Lake and Coach Rob really dial up these exotic blitzes and stuff like that. So I'm all for solidifying the back end with Max Milton and Javon Bullard at this one. And just a quick reminder, folks, it's the way that this mock draft is really falling. On draft night, it could be something similar. It may not be anywhere that we're going, but since it's here and it's available for us, we're going to attack it in that sense. So continuing the draft as it goes along. We pick next at
Names
109.
coming up there. Oh, they go to tackle.
The tackles, there was a little small run on tackle there. Spencer Rattler left to Seattle out of all places. Austin Booker's off the board. Okay, so we're back up at
Ooh,
109. And this may be an area where we start looking at possibly wide receivers. Malik Washington's there, Brendan Rice, which Chris called Drake London 2.0. Javon Baker
We
has been
already
making
have
his
Drake
rounds,
London.
man. Yeah, Javon Baker has been making his name around. Luke McCaffrey, I know the league, from what I've been reading, the league really appreciates this kid's makeup and versatility. He comes from a great bloodline himself with little bro in or big bro, I should say, in San Francisco. Luke McCaffrey, wide receiver out of Rice, is a possible up for drafting discussion here. Offensive tackle again, which really doesn't offer a lot of names. I think the best one in this class right here would probably be Javon Foster.
Where's
and
Jalen Coker
Broom.
right
Who is it?
now? Jalen Coker.
Jalen Coker. Is he an offensive tackle?
He's a
No, he's a
receiver.
wide receiver.
Jalen Coker. Let's see. Jalen Coker. Don't know too much about Jalen Coker, but he's from here. Holy Cross.
Okay. Yeah, he
What
has
can
some
you
good
say
route
about
running
this guy?
ability. He has a good route tree. Just I just wanted to see how far down he was. Like, he was not a top tier guy, but could be a sleeper in this offense, just like a guy like Clint was saying at 109. But you really can get him deeper than that if you so chose to. So I just wanted to see where he was.
That receiver board's got enough names. I don't know how we don't cash in there finally. I don't know that this isn't a moment where you're in a draft room, somebody wouldn't look at each other and be like, haven't we kind of gotten cute enough here? Like, as far as the waiting on the receiver.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at some of those names, Malik Washington's been a huge riser. Jamari Thrash is a guy flying under the radar. Just a great floor. Brendan Rice, you mentioned the pedigree thing. Poor kid. We can't mention his name without mentioning his dad. Some nice length there. Javon Baker, I'm going to be a tool for a second. I was in on Baker before the crowd.
I like Baker.
In terms of getting some physical size to pair with London, to pair with some of these more scat speed receivers and Mooney and Moore. They've got Baker at 144. He's not lasting a 144 in reality. I'll disagree with them there. Oh. They do phenomenal work at PFN. I believe this is Ian Cummings' ratings. I disagree there. I think 144, I don't know. That's somebody I'd throw his name. And you mentioned McCaffrey as well. It's like, I think of between those 4 or 5 or 6 receiver names, I might be looking around being like, let's take our pick of the litter here. What was the other position we looked at? The tackles, nobody. The 2 I liked on the tackle list, I think one of them will be there at 143. You mentioned Foster. You took that one out of my mouth. And Christian Jones out of Texas. But those got one of them will wait. My vote would be, let's cash in on a receiver.
On a receiver? Let's do it. So out of this bunch, I think everybody offers their own upside, but I think Javon Baker offers probably the most out of this list. Javon Baker here giving some love to the offense. And there goes the run on that. Oh man, Mason Smith. He's such a polarizing figure to go ahead and analyze.
Michael Pratt just went.
Did he?
Yeah, I was hoping he was going to slide one more time.
Well, Kyrie Jackson was still on the board.
I'm going to say Kyrie Jackson's a my guy in that corner room.
Hey, I love Kyrie Jackson, man. That length.
Is he 6'3", 6'4"?
Yeah, man. He's a
6'3", about 192, 195. Yep.
Man, I mean, you're talking safety weight right there, man.
Yeah, we was talking, me and Smitty, we had a conversation about him a couple of weeks ago. And you're not mad if you take that guy in the 4th round.
Right. So here we go now. Let's review our picks as this draft class is almost coming to a close. We have Jared Verse, Tavondre Sweat, Max Milton, Marshawn Nealon, Javon Bullard, Javon Baker. So at 143.
That draft is so filthy, I feel nauseous.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's a good collection right here. So Javon Foster's still on the board. I think this is a guy that right here makes a lot of sense to mold, and just let him sit and just learn a little bit more. We do have Storm Norton right now as our swing tackle at the moment, a guy that can also slide into the right tackle position as he did last year and fill in some for Caleb McGarry. Javon Foster offers, a little bit more upside, or a lot more upside, I would in my opinion, than a Storm Norton. So I like Javon Foster at 143.
Yeah,
What do you guys feel?
I'm on that train too. If you guys are down with it,
agree.
Yeah.
And
So
we kind of have to take we got to take offense here in some capacity.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another offensive move that we're not really paying too much attention to is the quarterback position. I know we spoke about it at the beginning. Out of this list, really the more pro. I'm not even gonna say pro ready because he's not pro ready. But Joe Milton the third. What does he offer? He's a big kid with a big arm. He has scrambling ability. He's okay. He's okay, but definitely a project.
Talk to me at 187.
Talk to you at 187 if he's still there. Yeah. Safe bet.
I still even like Jordan Travis, man. I think he has a lot of intangibles. He's a mannerable kid, locker room type of a guy.
He's gone.
He's coming off an injury. Oh,
Yeah,
he's gone already.
Yeah, Jordan Travis is gone.
See what I'm saying? But this draft sucks. No, I'm just playing.
Oh Lord. All right. So let's see where we're at.
Oh, yeah, so
we're
on.
There's some names there.
Yeah,
like
there's a lot of names. There still is.
Unrelated to the Falcons. Like I could just Ray Davis is a rookie contract guy. Someone's going to get a ton of mileage out of. Tanner Bordellini's like a 99th percentile athlete on the interior. That's a day 3 starting center upside player. Leighton Robinson is a Mack truck. Bo Limmer's going to be a starter in the NFL.
Yep.
I mean,
I'll say his name's there. That's what I don't know how many times we've said that this draft is so freaking loaded. You can get
Zinter is the Andrew Voorhees of this year that got hurt, but is going to be a starter somewhere year 2.
Yep.
McCaffrey, the league's going to be higher than this.
Yeah. Do you think he gets drafted because of the name more so than the ability?
I think the kid's a good player. I mean, yeah, he's he'd tell you this. He's not delusional. He's going to get some stock because his daddy and his brother. But he should get a stock boost. He should get a stock boost.
I mean, it's just like the Matthews tree. You see a Matthews, you want to take him because he's from that bloodline.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that Marvin Harrison Jr.'s dad was like pretty solid. No, there's names all over the place there.
Muhammad Kamara was still on the board.
I feel like so that's a sleeper name too, and for a later round. I like him, Kamara. Man, some names coming off of that.
Tyke Smith would be a name the Falcons would like with some nickel outside to safety.
I agree.
He'd be a raw guy.
Yes, I agree.
Let's look at linebacker. Linebacker really not offering too much, but it would be another, probably special teams.
Ulofoshio out of Washington's got some high upside. I like him. He's an underrated athlete. I know a lot of people high on Leofu, Marist out of Notre Dame. I think there's a certain ceiling there. I'd rather have Ulofoshio personally, but those aren't two bad athletes and linebackers with some serious upside, and on special teams could be demons to be sitting at 187.
Yeah, 187.
Yes, at 187. Now you had mentioned talk to you at 187 about
undercover cop.
Yeah. Okay.
See, I don't think Milton's worth the pick, respectfully. So I wouldn't have been excited about that even now. I'm not in on Milton personally, so that wouldn't get me excited.
Yeah. So as it stands, there's no quarterback probably going to be drafted, and within this mock, just for the viewers out there, just for this mock, it's been mainly all defense, and it's hey, listen, man, this mock is falling to our liking right now, so it is what it is. So at 187, how about the running back position?
Tyrone Tracy's a nice player at 187. I'm higher on Blake Watson. I think he's getting dinged a little bit for some injury history, but we're talking about running backs, man. You're picking running backs down here. You're looking at one contract guys. I like Lonnie's got some good ability. Carson Steele's underrated. A lot of people high on the kid out of Troy. Edwards isn't
Rashad
flashy,
Ali.
but
Yeah, I like
I'm a
Rashad
lifelong
Ali.
Georgia fan. Edwards is somebody we got so much mileage out of. Jawar
Mhm.
Jordan is a little speed bug, quick
Mhm.
kid. So many people high on Rasheen Ali, even
Yeah.
though he got
Mhm.
hurt at the Senior Bowl. And I know I'm rolling.
He
Y'all
did.
probably like slow down there.
Oh
There-
no,
No.
There's
Look, keep
there's
going,
some
brother.
serious
let's
there's
do
some
it.
serious names there. I don't think it's a need for us. Go get a UDFA possibly. Look at some other positions, but I mean, there's some names there still. Not to sound like not to sound like the dork using the buzzword value, but there's still value there at 187.
Yeah.
I mean, even once it's all said and done, a lot of these guys, if the draft falls this way, will be some,
some of those guys will go undrafted.
undrafted free agents. We could roll the dice with that one here. So, but
What's
at
wide receiver look
187,
like?
what's receiver look like still? Let's see. Jackson,
Smith is a burner.
Johnson,
Yeah,
Aeneas
that's
Smith.
exactly what I was looking at, Clint.
Yeah, we've got the speed guys with Rondale and Mooney you're bringing in, but Jaquan Jackson's not a size guy either. Flournoy's a high upside athlete, but I'd probably keep looking around a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Anthony Gould. Bub Means is another speedster, another guy with
underrated guy. He's going to go higher.
Very
than
underrated.
Him good.
I hope so. Yeah, Bub Means is pretty good. We're not going to entertain tight end, are we?
It was one guy who I liked, but he went way earlier. Way earlier.
I'll say this: Tanner McLaughlin and Dallin Holker are two nice looking players that are getting some buzz. That
this kid's a sleeper.
I mean that's not bad. That's those kind of like, oh, we're not going to go tight end. I'm like, those guys aren't bad, man.
Let's go. Screw it, man.
Hey, let's do it.
Let's take it. Let's see.
It's a later round pick,
and the value was there. In particular,
exactly.
Tight end went the very next pick.
Oh, your boy just went Olafosio. 197. Okay, so this I think would wrap up the draft.
Yeah, for us.
Anymore. Yeah, for us. So just throwing something out there. Let's see center. What does center look like as far as the names that are available? Ryan Uziel obviously is the backup to Drew Dahlman. Drew Dahlman. We'll see how he turns out in this year under this new offensive scheme, which may concern some folks because it's probably going to ask this interior line to hold up blocks a little bit more, a little bit longer, a split second or two longer than what they're accustomed to holding up, with so much mobility being there with Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota in respected years. Now we kind of go back to that drop back passer and, asking these guys again, like I mentioned, to hold their blocks. So anybody here stick out to you guys? For me, Kingsley, you can I can't say, I'm gonna butcher his name, but his last name, but Kingsley here from Florida is probably one of the more intriguing guys on the list. Still has size. I think with Dwayne Ledford extensively working on him, can really work this kid up to be a starter down the line, in the interior. So Kingsley for me would be a guy to look at. But Clint, I don't know. What do you got, buddy?
I like Drake Nugent. I like Charles Turner. I like Kingsley as well. Andrew Rain's another name that's going to get thrown around. My only comment there would be, look, they're not moving on from Dahlman. They're going to roll out Dahlman, and they should. I think there's other holes to fill beyond Dahlman and where he is. And in terms of Dahlman is, in terms of centers, like a 98th, 99th percentile athlete. I don't know that if you're to take one of these guys right here, you're not taking one of these guys right here thinking that they're going to come in and hand Dahlman a clipboard. You're taking a guy here with the ceiling of coming in and being his backup and, good competition and depth in the room. I would just be interested because of that to see maybe what was still there on the defensive interior in terms of maybe getting a body there. And the last thing I'd say is just, you really got to look at these guys on this board and say, do I see more developmental traits in the near future than, say, a Javon Gwynn, who you've got backing up at center, versus a News, backing up at center? That's really the question there.
Gabriel Murphy.
I got my guy right here.
And Brendan Jackson.
God. Nope. For me, honestly, man, Sundita Anderson out of Grand
See,
Bay
I like
State.
Brennan Jackson. It's funny y'all said somebody different. I like Brennan Jackson too.
Okay. What
Yeah,
is
I
it? What
like
is it about
Jackson.
Brendan Jackson's game that you like the most? Because I'm gonna make my pitch about Anderson
So
here.
see, like, click on Jackson's little like profile thing. Yeah, it'll show you there. It got some good side. The 264. See, that surprised me. I would have thought he was more like 270 plus. You know, an 8.7 RAS at this point in the draft is some really nice athletic upside, particularly with that body habitus. I think that's somebody who it's kind of like could be a similar role to another name who's long gone, but like Braylon Trice. Yeah, in terms of
Mm-hmm.
looking at this 3-4 defense and some edges who aren't going to be that top 50 pick guy, but could find a role for you. Hey, what did we say earlier about Raw in LA? And we're not in the third or fourth round. I'll preface that. But the Kobe
Yep.
Turner is a rookie. The
Mhm.
Byron Young is a rookie. These high upside athletes that he can just throw out there and they're ready to roll. I mean, that's just a name to look at. But I mean, look, there's still some names there. I mean, Miles Cole is a 99 percentile athlete. Gabe Murphy's a lot of people like Nelson Caesar. I'm admittedly not quite as familiar with Caesar. I know a lot of people like him. You mentioned the Sundiata. That's a
Man.
name I need to go give. I'm not informed enough to give an opinion.
Yeah, so Sundiata, man, HBCU guy, really wasn't talked about a lot. This is a kid that, had he been invited to the combine, I think he would have blew up the combine, man. This is an athletic freak. I don't know if they're gonna have any details on him, but okay, 6'3", 239 pounds, can add more bulk to his frame. But when you pop the tape and you look at his highlights, the number one thing that pops about this kid is his speed, his sideline to sideline speed. The way he attacks reminds me a lot of what Tremaine Edmonds does for the Bears, man. Just a sleek-footed kid, man. He doesn't get the love and recognition that he should, but this kid right here is, yeah. If he's here, this is a home run pick for me, absolutely. And I'll throw my two cents into this kid too right here, Gabriel Murphy. You watch Latu's tape, but Murphy pops. You keep seeing like, man, who's this other kid screaming on the other side? But this kid offers a little bit more
Murphy.
as he's more of the tweener. He's more that defensive end, defensive tackle kid. You can interchange him in both positions. Another intriguing guy, and who knows? That's something that may intrigue Coach Raheem and Jimmy Lake. But for me, it would, if these two guys realistically on draft night is there, I'm kind of pulling my hair as like, oh man, which guy I'm gonna take, man. But for me, I would take Sundiata Anderson in this.
I was gonna say you feel more passionate here than I do, so I'd say go with your guy.
Yeah, I go with him. Chris, what do you got, Chris? I don't want to.
No, I mean, I like the Gabriel Murphy, honestly. He had good 40, good vertical, broad jump, 10-yard, all things that I need on the football field. I'm not knocking the other two guys because I actually like those other two guys. But since we're already talking about them already, Gabriel Murphy, he's an athlete, man. Exceptional athlete. On the other side of Latu, he can go after the quarterback. He has good IQ, aligns well. It's a lot of good things you can say about that guy, man. Good flexible lower half, something that is important too. So it's just at this place right now, 197. You can't go wrong with either guy. So, but I wouldn't mind taking Murphy as well. I wouldn't mind taking any of these guys right here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take Anderson on this one. That's gonna wrap up this portion of the mock draft. As everybody is gonna go on and take their guys.
Tracy went to the Cowboys.
Ain't that something?
Brennan Jackson to the Lions. He's going to be a beast there.
I mentioned how Nealon was my favorite player in the draft. My second just went Sion Vaki out of Utah.
Out of Utah, safety, man. Yep, he went.
Safety, but RB3 upside. That guy was averaging 16.5 yards a catch out of the backfield at Utah and having about 5-6 yards a carry. You talking about a guy get a 53 spot on the day 3. Vaki's a stud.
A stud.
Somebody gonna get them a sleeper.
Hey, that's what the draft is all about, man. And who's better at that, really, than the Falcons, man. A lot of teams can't come close. They don't come close to picking these mid-round gems like the Falcons do, brother. Oh, Logan Lee was still there. He went.
Yeah, he just went.
Tip Ryman's like a 99th percentile athlete at tight end for the Texans, man. Pair him up with Schultz, the nice
and you can't go wrong with a Tip. You know, you really can't. So,
And
there's
Mr.
that.
Irrelevant is Anthony Gold. Well, there you have it, ladies and
If
gentlemen.
Anthony
Mock
Gold had
draft.
not been drafted, that'd been one of our first calls
Yeah.
for UDFA.
Yeah,
Unbelievable, man. But there you have it, man. Here's
Hey, man, that's
our
not a bad
draft
draft.
for the first one. It's not bad. Very defensive heavy, but of course, got to maintain the integrity on defense. So with offense being shown so much love in the offseason, why not
This
go?
draft
Why not
adds
go this route?
Jimmy Lake to my question. I said
Hell,
pressure
y'all
on
sitting
Jimmy
here
Lake.
being coy.
Utilize this.
Y'all are being coy, sitting here like, oh, that's not bad. That's pretty good. Forget that. I'll come in here with the heat. That's
There
gas
we
right
go.
there,
Let's
guys.
go.
That's gas. Are you kidding me?
Oh man.
Kneeling and Verse, that's day one. Sweat's day one. Milton's day one. Bullard's day one. Baker day one. Holker is contributed day one, even rotationally. And then the two developmental projects on the offensive and defensive line.
Yeah. Then you got
Hammer,
your at the end, Anderson.
Hammer.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
That's a day. That's you say that's a B plus or less. You're a dork that's trying too hard.
Facts. I'm going with that.
Oh man, I love it.
We
I
addressed
love
it.
it, man.
We addressed it a lot of places right there, y'all. I understand people talking about the quarterback, but hey, man, we want to figure that out later on. We ride with Kurt, win now, win right now. And honestly, even if we did take a quarterback in this draft, he's not going to play unless something happens, and we don't want anything to happen. So technically, we don't want him to play this year. So and next year most likely. So
I
understand the quarterback thing. I do, but that's a good draft, man. Like
man, it's a solid draft, man. As most folks are realizing now, Smitty had to part, man. He had some stuff to take care of, so we went on and delivered the show, man. There's so many people in the chat, man. Thank you guys so much for joining this stream this afternoon. I can't get to all the comments there, man, but it's loaded with comments, man,
and good stuff, from our good people.
Yes, we definitely appreciate everybody that came out today to rock with us, man. Clint, thank you so very much, man. We had a great time. I appreciate, collabing with you and having your perspective brought to the table as far as some of these draft prospects, man. So much love and admiration for you, man. Thank you so much, man. If you have anything you want to say before you head out, man, please do.
Yeah, I was just going to say thanks for reaching out and having me on. Definitely look forward to collabing more in the future. And, I'd lastly just, again, you can find my name or NFL Draft Dome on Twitter. That's where all my activity is. I share all my NFL Draft and Falcons content there. And during the season, I do some general NFL, but not much. I'm more on the NFL Draft side when it's not Falcons. So, but no, thanks for having me on. It was great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, man.
These next 4 weeks are going to be great.
It's going to be great. Filled with news, man. But thank you so much again, folks. That was Clint Goss, ladies and gentlemen, from Twitter. Thank you so much, my friend. You have a good day, man.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And Chris, man, how about it, brother? We just picked up our first mock draft of this the Sunday afternoon. I mean, hopefully we can add up add in another one sometime soon and go from there, man. So a lot of people, again, thank you everybody that showed up. CDX for Life said it takes one team to screw up the draft, man, and that really speaks volumes, man, because everybody's draft board obviously looks different. So it's gonna take one team really in that top 10 to overvalue somebody that we feel may not go or should go in that top 10, and it just snowballs from there, man. So who knows? Maybe we pray on that and we can get somebody, fall to number 8, where another team might feel like, oh my God, we need that guy, and they want to, come up and trade with the Falcons. Who knows? There's so many.
All it takes is the Patriots to take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3, and then next thing you know, what the hell?
Oh man. But before we part, man, again, thank you to everybody that showed up today, man. We really appreciate everybody's perspective and view on this mock draft. We went defensive heavy, man. And again, this was predicated as to what players were available. We didn't try to entertain as many trades because, man, it would have taken us all day to do that, man. So many avenues we could have went in that one. But Chris, before you head out, let the folks know where they could find you on your socials, and let the folks know also, please, what you have coming up, man.
Oh man, well, you already know. The show that's cool and fly too, A1 Forever Sports. That's the platform on YouTube. We be generational because it's always time to be, and we don't settle for less because you can always have more with the vision. Please come by and stop by, man. Subscribe, come chat. I interact with pretty much everybody who supports. I don't like that term subscribers. So I really interact with everybody who supports the channel. And on what is it? X, Twix, whatever. You can find me at A1 Forever. You can find me A1 Forever on Instagram and the real A1 Forever on TikTok as I drop little highlight videos on there. As far as things coming up, to be honest with you, I want to get into so much content. There's so many content ideas that I have. But first and foremost, man, I'm almost close to graduating. Full Sail University, the Dan Patrick program. I will be graduating with my bachelor's degree. So that's really where my focus is, to go ahead and cross that finish line, because you sometimes get close to it and kind of run out of steam. But I'm trying to come across that finish line like old school Usain Bolt. So therefore, that's what my main focus is. I will drop stuff when I possibly can. Mostly it's been shorts and everything like that, but that's just where my time is at, because I do work too. So yeah, man. So work, school, content, that's kind of my life right now. And I'm just excited to be a college graduate in a few months here. So
that's amazing, man. Yeah, shout out to you, Chris.
Oh yeah, man. It's gonna be full throttle from there, man. I can't wait for a training camp. Definitely gonna be a training camp this year and everything, man. It's just gonna be blessings on blessings on blessings.
Amen, man. Love to hear that, man. Appreciate your grind, man. And definitely, man, when that time comes, we shall celebrate properly as you walk that stage, man. Before I get into any of my socials, I want to give a quick shout out, man. I had a very amazing interaction with a fellow Falcons fan that coincidentally is from Providence, Rhode Island as well. As most people may or may not know, I am from Providence, Rhode Island. I like to take the claim as the biggest Falcons fan in Rhode Island. We're such a small state with a big attitude, that, as some people will say about Rhode Islanders. But definitely, man, Cruz is the young man's name. He's a local artist, rap artist. You can find him under the name Cruz, which he spells it KREW $ for his S, and he's located on Spotify and all and Apple Music platforms. And we had an interesting, conversation. He didn't realize I was from Rhode Island until he checked the bio. So I'm trying to uplift him and get as many eyes to his platform as well, man. So definitely, always take the time to support your local artists if they're in your area, and you can just uplift them, man, because it's the best thing to do, so just uplift and bring everybody together in this space. Another Falcon fan here in Rhode Island. I hope to link up with him one day and either talk Falcons or watch a Falcons game. But yeah, shout out to Cruz if you're watching, or if you ever come across this video, man. But on that note, man, we'll definitely part. I'm your boy Berto, your host of the 95 North Falcons Talk Show. That's the platform on YouTube. You can also catch me on Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report has me going 100 miles an hour, man. I'll be on from April 9th and on every week after that, covering the NFL draft, dropping Falcons content via the Bleacher Report app itself. And I'll be doing that also on my platform here, 95 North Falcons Talk Show on YouTube, with my guys Chris and Smitty, also with any other invitees of the future coming up. We look forward to collaborating with so many other names out there for this Barbershop Talk Sunday, as we're labeling now. This has been a great episode number 2, mock draft edition. We'll give you your Sunday back. Happy holidays to everybody. Happy Easter, I should say. And I hope everybody's enjoying a good plate of food and their relatives and loved ones. So on that note, we will part. We will talk to you soon, man. Peace.
Holla.